What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is day 7 of the second annual 10 Days of Pumpkin here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today comes from Prairie Artisan Ales, and they are out of Krebs, Oklahoma, and this is their Basic Becky. So they're calling this an Imperial Stout that is brewed with pumpkin, cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, coriander, clove, and caraway. Comes in at 11% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. This bottle is approximately 5 weeks old. So I didn't plan on picking this up for the 10 Days of Pumpkin, but when I was in one of my favorite local bottle shops here in the Western New York area, Premier Gourmet, one of the employees recommended it to me, and I was like, you know what? Huge Imperial Stout that's not barrel aged, bunch of different spices, and it is a pumpkin beer. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna do it. Now, I thought they released this in the past, but they didn't. They released it just on draft, I believe. And I think that at Pumpkin Spice Coffee, there was a lady pumpkin here on the front of the label, and she was holding a cup of coffee, and it says Basic Becky on it. And yeah, I just thought there was some kind of coffee in here, but it looks like this version does not have that. So anyway, sounds pretty good. You know, I really do like Imperial Pumpkin Stouts. The caraway being in here is kind of weird. The rest of the stuff sounds, you know, typical for any kind of pumpkin beer. So yeah, let's crack this open, get it into glass. Now this has been out of the fridge for about an hour, so we should be fine. Pints for prostates. So I don't know if that, like each bottle here sold, you know, benefits that, or maybe they throw a little bit of a donation there. If so, that's cool. That's pouring out like motor oil. Now, when it comes to Prairie's, you know, bottles, they're expensive bottles. More often than not, I am pretty happy with them. So when I saw this one, I was like, you know what? I think it's going to probably be a good beer. But we'll talk about the price point a little bit later, because it is quite pricey. So yeah, deep, dark, basically pitch black. There's no tinges at the bottom here. I had about a half finger of this like dark brown colored head, very creamy looking. It is now a thin film, but yeah, that looks like a big Imperial Stout. Let's get a nose. Tons of alcohol legs too. I don't. They're probably not going to show up on camera, but look at those alcohol legs. Jesus, crazy. Yeah, smells like any other pumpkin stout I've smelled before. A lot of chocolate, a lot of coffee, roasted malt. Getting more of like the nutmeg and clove in here. Yeah, nutmeg and clove. Touch of coriander. I don't know how often coriander is used in pumpkin spices. Usually the main players seem to be cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, clove, and ginger. Those are typically the spices that I see. In this one, though, coriander and caraway. Not really getting any caraway. Yeah, it smells pretty good. It doesn't smell overly sweet. It has a really nice, like, dry roastiness to the aroma, but there are a lot of, you know, chocolate and coffee components to this one, and then a big, you know, spicy, almost slightly earthy from the pumpkins. I'd imagine they roasted them. A little bit of black licorice too, touch of it. Some dry, darker fruits, like a fig date thing, but very, very minute and subtle in this one. It smells pretty good. It smells like an Imperial Stout that's just been spiced. I wouldn't necessarily say pumpkin spice. It just smells like a big, spicy Imperial Stout, but it smells pretty good, so let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. Body at this on this one, 11%. It's basically full body. Wow. It's like medium to straight on full body, proper, almost chewy, very viscous. There's like an oily sensation on the palate. Wow. Mouthfeel, soft, smooth, slightly creamy. There is carbonation, but combining with that body, giving such a nice mouthfeel. It's very smooth and just creamy on the palate. Body mouthfeel on this is killer. The taste is really nice though. The cool thing about this is I'm getting a really well put together base Imperial Stout. Tons of chocolate, tons of roasted malt, almost cherry kind of malt sensation. There is like a coffee roast too. Like, again, I don't think they're using coffee in this one, or at least this year's version, but it has a nice like coffee component to it. And that's right up front. Big malt presence too, just like a sweeter malt presence. Pass through the palate, those spices hit. Really getting mostly clove and like nutmeg for on my palate. A little bit of cinnamon, just an ever so touch of cinnamon. Coriander and caraway, not really. Is ginger? The other one was the other one that I said. Allspice, not really. You know, allspice kind of blends together. Yeah, very similar characteristics for me when it comes to like cinnamon and the rest. So sure, allspice is there. It finishes with a semi-dry type of finish to it, but I think it's from the spices, and I've mentioned that a couple times on some of these other pumpkin beer reviews. Like I feel like it's coming from the spices as opposed to the alcohol or beer itself. But this is sweet. This is a sweeter Imperial Stout, but it is not cloying. It's just a lens of sweetness to it that I think is welcomed in a beer like this, because you have such, so many spices and such a spicy component and characteristic overall to this beer that I think that sweetness kind of breaks it up just a bit. 11%. I mean, I can taste it's a bigger beer, but there's no astringency on the palate. I'm not even getting a chest warming or a stomach warming. This is deceptively drinkable. Sometimes Prairie Imperial Stouts, because they're usually in like 11, 12, 13 range, they sometimes can be just crazy boozy. This is not. This is nice. This has a mild booziness to the entire overall characteristic of the beer itself, but really just very subtle. Wow, this is well put together. Yeah, I could sit here and crush this one. I like that the spices are present, but they're not overwhelming. I like that the base beer I can actually taste. I'm getting a slight earthiness too, which is I'd imagine is coming from the pumpkin, but like so many of these pumpkin beers, it's the underlying characteristic. So it's not like, oh my God, it's huge earthiness and it's like dirty or whatever. It's just the pumpkin, very slightly noticeable. Man, I would say this. Yeah, does this drink like an Imperial Pumpkin Stout? Sure, it does, but I think I could just be happy drinking this as an Imperial Spice Stout. Like, you don't even tell me it's pumpkin spice. Just tell me it's spiced with, 6 different spices or whatever. And I think I'd really like this one. So, yeah, I gotta be honest with you. This is a fucking delicious beer. It is really good. So Basic Becky from Prairie Artisan Ales, I'm gonna give it a low 4.5 out of 5. I'm gonna go 4.4 out of 5. I'm surprised that this is as good as it is. Not because Prairie doesn't make good beers, because they do. I don't know. I'm just like, here's a big Imperial Stout. There's 6 different ingredients in it. Most of them are spices. How good can it be? Damn good is the correct answer. So yeah, 4.4 out of 5 for Basic Becky from Prairie Artisan Ales. Delicious beer. If you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. The price point is where this becomes a little bit of an issue. And if I was to bring price into my rating, it would definitely drop into like the 4.25 range. But price point on this single bottle, I either paid $10.99 or $11.99. I think it was $10.99 for this bottle. It's $11 for a 12 ounce of beer. Now that's almost $1 an ounce. Now, granted, it's 11% Imperial Stout with 6 different ingredients. So is it worth it? Well, that's in the eye of the beholder, and for me, it's worth it to try it once. Would I ever buy this again? I might buy this like once a year, around September, October to have it, and especially if they were to do variants or maybe change up the recipe each year. It's a good beer, and for $11, it is expensive, but I think it's nice to treat yourself once in a while, and I think I'm happy with the fact that I did grab it, so I'm not disappointed. But some people might say $11 for that 12-ounce bottle. You're fucking crazy. And you know what? I can't really argue with you. So availability, wherever Prairie gets distribution, I believe Shelton Brothers still distributes them, although it doesn't say it on the back. It does say malt beverage with natural flavor. So I don't know if Shelton Brothers distributes them anymore, but whatever. If you see Prairie in your neck of the woods, you get their bomb and everything, you should see this at some point. And if you do, definitely check it out, especially if you're okay with paying the price for it and you have liked their other big Imperial Stouts, because this kind of follows in the same realm. Really quality, top-notch, and just delicious. So yeah, anyway, 4.4 out of 5, Basic Becky, Prairie Artisan Ales. Like I said, if you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it, because I think it's delicious, and I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Shout out to whatever's going by. I can't even tell anymore. Car, motorcycle, whatever. I think it was a motorcycle, maybe a shitty car. I don't know. Come back tomorrow for day 8, where we'll be reviewing Rogue Ales, their pumpkin patch ale. Never had it before, so I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, till the next one, cheers.